Moses, this is the Lord thy God commanding you to obey my law. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. A deaf man could hear you.
Welcome to Amusing Jews, where we celebrate Jewish contributors and contributions to American popular culture. I'm Jonathan Friedmann.
And I'm Joey Angelfield.
Producer-engineer Mike Tomren is working somewhere behind the scenes. Amusing Jews is a project of Adat Chaverim, Congregation for Humanistic Judaism, the Jewish Museum of the American West, and Atheists United Studios. Hey, Joey. The stories found in the Hebrew Bible were the popular culture of their day, told and retold in different times and places, and only later written down in the version we have. They began in a vibrant oral society that encouraged creative embellishments, inventive departures, and commentary on current events. Like any good story tradition, part of that creativity expressed itself in humor.
We're pleased to chat with Gil Kidron, a writer, editor, and host of A Podcast of Biblical Proportions. Gil, welcome to Amusing Jews.
Hi guys, how are you? Thank you for having me.
You have a secular background. How did you get so involved in biblical texts?
So I never thought that I would dedicate every day, basically, to the Bible. Up until a few years ago, I didn't know anything about the Bible. I actually failed also in high school, like a Bible class. You have to have like final exams. I failed. I got 54. 55 is a pass. So close, so close. But so I came into it from another direction of stories and talking about stories and other people's stories. I wrote about movies. I wrote about shows. Then I had a YouTube channel about shows and about movies. So just like analyzing text and also looking at stories in context and stuff. And then I felt like I was ready. Okay, let's get to the Bible instead of me visiting other people's cultures, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, American movies, British shows. Why not host everybody in my culture? It's in Hebrew. I speak Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew writer. I wrote a novel, blogs, whatever. It's been my job for 20 years. An editor. So I was like, what if I go over the Bible, not trying to analyze it as scholars are doing it, but just like think of the writers and the editors. What kind of people were they? What were they trying to do? And just like look at them as people. And that just became so much fun so that I cannot stop. That's it. I'm hooked.
How would you characterize your approach to analyzing the Bible?
Once you look at the text in the Bible as no different than the script for Spider-Man or the Odyssey or whatever it is, a story is a story is a story. A writer is a writer is a writer, no matter where they live. We know how people write. They write about what's around them, what inspires them, who they are, their identity, what they've been through. You cannot write outside of that. So once you look at as the writers, as people that you can understand, I was surprised, and you would be surprised by how much you can understand about these texts when you just look at them as written by people with politics, with hang-ups, with passions, with fears, with things that make them funny, with things that make them laugh, whatever it is, it's all there. And the fact that it's like like frozen in time, like a time capsule from 2,000 years away, and the comedies are still funny, hilarious. I find that amazing.
Do you ever imagine what these people were looking like and sounding like and doing perhaps when they were writing this stuff? Or do you feel like you're maybe in the room with them, in the writer's room?
Wow, I feel like they are my friends. I don't want to, set off any alarms or something, but I feel maybe it's a one-sided relationship, but I feel that I know them very well because we know this. Like you watch 10 Quentin Tarantino movies, you know Quentin Tarantino. You don't know everything about him, obviously, but you know a lot about him. You even follow someone on social media. You can get to really know them, what they're like their essence. So that's what keeps me hooked to this. And I think it's also what I learned. I didn't plan any of this. That once you go with this, you will see a lot of things that you cannot see if you come looking at it from other perspectives. If you look at it from the personal human perspective, something comes out of it.
Do you think that your background as a writer also helped you kind of analyze the people who were writing and editing the Bible as well? I mean, I know there's the connection with Hebrew, which is not quite the same in the Bible as it is nowadays, but was that also a good entry point and maybe your way to help other people get into the personal aspect of the Bible?
Definitely, because as a writer, you know how you write and you know how people write, and you are interested in writing, how other people are writing, right? There are all these round tables with writers and stuff. It's always fascinating for me. What makes people write? What are the inspirations? How do they approach their problems? And so I think this is very helpful because it's like a new angle, looking at the writer as a person and as their text as something that represents something going on with them and with their community. And also there must be an audience for the text. For us to still have the text, it must have been a popular text, an important text. So it was important for other people there. So I think I found that this is very helpful. Of course, there are a million ways to research the Bible and other texts surrounding it. This is what I'm interested in. This is my passion, and as long as it's working, I'll keep doing it.
The comparison to television and film is also, I think, pretty appropriate because by the time we get to the finished product, canonized in the Bible as we have it, it's gone through many, many, many countless hands and different writers putting their own sort of spin on things and editing and so forth, which is what happens in film and TV as well.
Exactly. So I'm trying to find the continuity within the mess. If somebody puts 3 Spider-Man movies together, so we will see, okay, the costume is different, the actor is different, obviously, the villain changes and the theme changes, so it's easier to see, of course, in movies. But if you pay attention, you can find how suddenly the tone changes. In one part of the story, Moses is a hero, and then he's scared of snakes. Then he frees his people, and then he kills 3,000 of them. Okay. And then at the end, Yahweh tells him, "You rebelled against me. You are a rebel. You will not enter the land." This is 5 different characters smushed together. This is not how you write one story from beginning to end. It's a mess.
Yeah, I always think of him as his name is Mose, and then the S is put at the end because there's many Moseses. It's Moses.
Boom, boom, boom. I might steal it. I'll think about it.
Enjoying the show? Click like and subscribe. You find humor in unexpected places in the Bible, or at least unexpected if we don't know how to look for it. Why do you think readers typically miss the jokes?
So this is something, when I first started noticing funny things in the Bible, I felt really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. I had we'll talk about Samson later. I was reading specifically one verse in Samson in my balcony, and just an involuntary burst of laughter came out. And I was like, what is this? I'm holding the Bible. It was so weird. So we have laughing and appreciating comedy is half of it is our state of mind, and where we're at when we're encountering it. If I am distracted or angry or sad, you can tell me the funniest joke ever. I will not find it funny. I will not laugh. When you go to a comedy show, that's at the other end of the spectrum. You are so primed to laugh every little thing. The comedian says hello. That's amazing. He says hello in an amazing way. You're just ready to laugh. So when we encounter the Bible, if it's in the synagogue, it's not funny. If it's in politics, it's also not funny. I don't know why. In what context it could be funny, in what context we are allowed to think it's funny, and also we never read the Bible. We never read it. Who reads the story of Samson just for the heck of it, because to see what's in it? I just have a podcast, so whatever. I had a reason, but before that, why would I? I would never have thought to do it. once we will go over it now, there are two options. Maybe all of it is unintentionally funny, and they're just like stupid, and he was trying to write a drama, and somehow perfect comedy, punchline, 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 1, 2, 3. Maybe. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it's logical. Like no painter tries to paint a realistic picture. It just comes out, and now it's an expressionist picture. And okay, that never happens. So the other option is that it is intentionally funny. And if it is intentionally funny, then that means that our comedic heritage goes back much longer than we think. And I think this is fantastic. We are not laughing at the Bible, not at all. We are laughing with the Bible and with the writers. They are trying to make us laugh.
You pointed out that the story of Moses begins with some great laughs. Could you take us through that?
Okay, so let's go to the story of baby Moses. This, just like from a logical perspective, I couldn't help but conclude that this is a comedy. It's a two-part story, the midwife's tale and then baby Moses in a basket tale. And it is an absolutely perfect, populistic in terms of it's for the people, populistic, political, satirical, oppositional comedy. It's like punching up. It's great. But before we go over what makes it funny, maybe Jonathan or Joey, do you want to recap the story a little bit, and then we'll catch all the gems hidden in it.
So the prelude is that the Pharaoh doesn't remember, Jacob's and all the good thing that Joseph did for the Egyptians. So they raise up and say, "Oh, there's too many Hebrews. We should kill the firstborn son. That'll be a population control measure." So Moses is born to a Hebrew woman, and she realizes that she's going to have to kill her son. So as a way of saving him, she puts him in a basket of reeds and sends him in the river banks. And of course, the precocious sister has to keep an eye on it to make sure that the basket doesn't go somewhere fatal. And then the Pharaoh's daughter pulls baby Moses out of the river. And then luckily, Moses' sister was around and says, "Hey, I happen to know a Hebrew wet nurse that would be perfect for this baby." Did I get the story pretty well?
And who is the wet nurse?
The wet nurse is Moses' mom all along.
So she brings back the baby Moses to his mom, and she pays her. Now she's paying her a wage.
Okay. Yeah, so it's supposed to have killed her child, and now instead she gets paid to raise it.
Exactly. So this is already funny. And there's like in between, there's also a part in between with the midwives that's also funny. So it starts with the Pharaoh wanting to kill Hebrew children, male Hebrew children. So we should look at this like he is like a supreme villain, like the most evil person. He says, "I want to kill all the Hebrew male babies." Who does he charge with killing Hebrew male babies? 2 Hebrew midwives, meaning the two people whose whole job, everyday experience, life purpose is caring for little Hebrew babies. And these are the 2 women that he decides, the Pharaoh, that he will kill all of them by asking the last people who would want to throw babies. It's like if his plan were to start a fire, and he would say, I want to get the fire brigade, the firefighters, for them to start the fires. You want us to start a fire? All we do is put out fires. So you want me to kill the babies? All I do is make sure that the babies live. This is absurd. If he is this big villain, why does he need to hire 2 Hebrew midwives to kill the babies? It doesn't make any sense. If it's something supposedly real, it's intentionally absurd. And then they don't kill the babies, and their excuse is so stupid. It's like, "Oh, they already gave birth before we were there." It's like, okay, you can still kill them. If you got there a minute late, what does it matter? Just like throw the baby, chuck the baby to the Nile. You can still do it. If it's 5 minutes old, like there's no rule, whatever. It's like, whatever, you touch something, that's it. No more killing. So it's ludicrous. And again here, like we talked about with Moses' mother getting paid, the 2 midwives get rewarded by God. They have houses, they have families. And he's like, the villain is fuming. He's like, "Rrr, now I'm going to tell everybody to throw the baby to the Nile." Long story short, the only baby that is put in the Nile, he ends up raising it and paying for it. So this is just like a perfect satirical comedy, punching up at the evil leader and the regular people. They are smart, wily, and good. And at the end, the Pharaoh is raising the person who will topple him. Okay? He wanted to kill Hebrew babies. At the end, he is raising the baby who will topple him. I think this is perfect.
Why do you think most people, maybe all people who read that story, miss the joke?
How many people read the story? Really? I don't think that it's very often that you just like read it. Okay, when we approach the Bible, this is the only book that nobody reads it like you read any other story for the first time. You already know so much before you approach the text that it's basically cumbersome. It only leaves you like a few little avenues. I say it not jokingly. I had such an advantage that I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about the Bible. I was like, let's see what I was looking for the writers. Or let's see. I was like, oh, this is funny. I didn't have any preconception. It didn't whatever undermine the things that I believed or said or was taught because I didn't know anything. I had no allegiances. So it's just like easier to accept the fact that it is funny. I found a few funny elements and I was like, okay, if this is a comedy, then it has to be funny throughout and it has to be consistent in its jokes. And we will see it now with other comedies. It always works and clicks. It's just like if you have a reason to look at it this way. Now every single person can go and read and find the comedy. And by the way, I did this a few days ago. If you ask ChatGPT or any other language model, please go over the story of Moses and find all the comedic elements. I did it a few days ago. It found all the comedic elements, including one that I didn't notice, that the mom, she kind of did follow the rule to throw the baby to the Nile. She put it in the Nile. So it's like, I didn't break the rule. That's like one joke that the AI noticed. Texts are texts. The ChatGPT or whatever you want to use, they have no allegiances. If you tell them find this, they will find it. And this is true for every single text that we're going to talk over now. We will see elements that later you can check for yourself, right? You don't have to trust me, right? If it's funny, it's funny.
Yeah, I think there's many obstacles to reading the text as it is, like you're saying. One is in the Jewish world in particular, those who are dedicated to these texts typically look at commentaries on them instead of reading the actual source material. And the rabbis have bent over backwards to make it unfunny in many cases, and certainly, fix all the inherent contradictions and so forth that might exist in the text. And then the other problem is, I think, films that have presented these stories to people for generations, like, the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston. Like, that's the version that comes to mind when you think of this story, and you think that's all there is to it.
Also, the translation, we should say. We will see that there are even some puns that you cannot understand, like if you just translate them. And some parts they translated to correct, but then they just like ruin the comedy because they say, okay, this is ludicrous. It must be something not ludicrous. Okay, so let's make it something else. So that's another reason. It may be like, okay, so we are funny Jews, we have like amusing Jews, but maybe Christianity is less funny. Maybe that also has something to do with it. I don't know. I'm just saying, proposing a thought.
I understand the Book of Samuel has some good jokes as well.
Whereas the Baby Moses comedy was like a political comedy, satirical comedy, this one is absurd, it's silly, it's like over the top, intentionally over the top. We have puns, subverting expectations. So it starts from the very beginning, chapter 1 Samuel chapter 1. Samuel's origin story is super funny. First, there is a pun. The would-be father for Samuel, Elkanah, he has two wives. Hannah, he loves Hannah very much, doesn't have children with Hannah. Oh, has another wife, has loads of children with her. Then he goes and he gives a dish to his wife who has a lot of children, and he gives a double portion to Hannah. In English, it means nothing. In Hebrew, manah chatapayim, that's a sexual innuendo. That's not actually two portions. It could be also like a innuendo for something aggressive. Someone gives you something, oh, I gave him back a double portion. Okay? It's not literal, a double portion. Okay? So he gave his one wife, food, and his other wife, he gave her a double portion, if you know what I mean. Okay? Basically, this is the joke. Okay? This is a joke. And then she's sad because she doesn't have the children. And Elkanah, being such a loving husband, caring, empathetic husband, he comes to her and he tells her, Hannah, why are you sad that you don't have any children? Am I not better for you than 10 kids? I'm quoting, okay? So obviously it goes very well with his wife. That she's like, okay, yes, you are enough for me. Like this is every wife's dream, right? To hear that. Then she goes to pray with the priest Ali, and she's praying without talking, right? She's murmuring, and she's very, 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 very sad because she doesn't have any children. And of course, the priest Ali looks at her that she's like opening and closing her mouth, and he's like, of course, she's drunk. And he comes to her, why are you drunk, woman? And she's like, I'm not drunk. I'm just like very, very sad that I don't have children. Okay. This is a completely ridiculous situation. And he's like, oh, okay, so you will have sons. And then she's relaxed and she goes back and they have sex. And Yahweh remembers them, okay, as they have sex. This is creepy, okay? This is creepy. Why is Yahweh remembering them when they have sex? I think this is intentionally funny. And that's how Samuel is born, from this ridiculous chain of events. And the mother promises, I will bring him when he is weaned. Okay? So you say, okay, when he's 2, maybe 3, I don't know. But when she brings him back, it says, V'hana'ar na'ar. And the lad is a lad. He's like an adolescent. Okay? So she's like cheating. She kept winning him because she didn't want to give him away, right? We know that she didn't want to give him away. So this is just like chapter 1, a series of absurd situations, just like poking fun at our culture, at our stories. The wife that is barren, and all of that. I feel it's a little bit of like American Jewish comedy. It's like self-secure, like a lot of self-deprecation. Did you recognize like any familiar Jewish humor here?
Yeah, so I was thinking as you were talking about the one-liners in particular and how that scene with the priest assuming that Hannah is drunk is just a funny scene, and it should be taken that way. And I've always seen it that way too. But, again, like Jewish tradition says, well, she is like the exemplar of a truly sincere person in worship, and she's the embodiment of kavanah, and this sort of intentional prayer, and we're going to follow her model instead of seeing the humor. But, I think there's a very early one-liner in the Bible too, where Cain has killed Abel and God says, where's your brother? And he says, am I my brother's keeper? Which is like perfect Borscht Belt one-liner,
And the gall, right? The gall. You're standing over your brother and your God is there. Wow. Yeah, that makes it more funny. Right. So like the people that explain why this is not funny, right? The part about Samuel's mom, I don't think that they are comedy experts. I think they are experts in other fields. Okay. We shouldn't take cues for them about what's funny. If we find this funny and it's consistently funny and it reads funny, then it's funny. And let's just love it because it's funny and it's ours. And we have a funny comedy from more than 2,000 years ago. I think it's amazing.
Are there other funny parts in the book of Samuel?
There's a million funny stuff. I'll just go over some stuff quickly. There's a story about the Ark of the Covenant getting stolen by the Philistines and giving them hemorrhoids. And they're like, oh, a great curse by Yahweh, hemorrhoids. And they send the Ark to another Philistine city, and then they get hemorrhoids. Another plague, So basically, this is like God, Yahweh is a pain in the ass. He gives you a pain in the ass. And they send it to to 3 Philistine cities until they send it to some. It gets to some place called I don't remember the place, but in my imagination, this is maybe like the Florida. Just like the fact that it got to some place that like you don't need to add anything, Kiryat Chaverim, something like that, and the crowd is like, of course it got there, whatever. In Israel, it would be Petach Tikva, okay? It gets to Petach Tikva. Just like, say no more. That's already like a pun. This is like in my imagination. I cannot prove this. Also, Samuel's first meeting with God is really funny because it's always super momentous. And here, God is calling him and he's like waking up and he thinks that Ali is talking to him and he goes to the priest and the priest tells him, no, I didn't talk to you. He goes back to sleep like 3 times. It's like completely ridiculous. completely funny also. Saul coronation. Let's just go over a couple of puns, okay? It says that there was no one in Israel better than Saul. He was head and shoulders above everybody else. He was very tall. Even in English, this is funny. Head and shoulders above everybody else, he was very tall. Okay, so he wasn't really better than everybody else. He was just taller. Okay, this is one pun that is there. Then later, when they want to crown him, they cannot find him. Okay, so Yahweh says, God says, "Hine hu nechba el hakelim." Literally, he's hiding within the tools. Something like that. But in Hebrew, it means he's shy. Nechba el hakelim means he's shy. So Yahweh says, here, he's shy. But then they go and take him from within the tools. So basically, it's he's not shy. He was actually literally within the tools. So this is a very funny pun.
Arguably, the peak of biblical comedy is Samson, the biblical strongman. What can you tell us about that?
Wow, he's like, the poor man's Hercules.
Like burning flags. Slow the devil. He's back. Devil's free.
Quick, take him! Alive if you can! Use chains!
He's like the ridiculous Hercules. He's basically that archetype. But everything that Hercules does, he does worse. It doesn't matter. Just a little bit worse. If like Hercules kills like a big lion, then Samson will kill a baby lion. And he has very poor judgment when it comes to women. We'll see that. And he's ridiculous. He's just ridiculous. His heroism is ridiculous. This is hilarious. Hilarious. Do you want to maybe, Jonathan, to recap the origin story from what you remember, how his coming is announced, and then we'll just see how it is unbelievably funny?
Yeah, so sort of like Samuel, he's got a barren mother who really wants to have a child. And as I recall, he is a miraculous birth again and is dedicated to the Lord to be a really pious person who doesn't cut his hair and all this stuff, a Nazarite, which I think is already funny because, he's set up to be this perfect child, this person dedicated to holy service, and then he ends up being kind of an out-of-control schmuck.
Yes, exactly. So let's just start with his father's name, Manoach. It sounds like Noah, right? But Manoach means deceased. Hamanoach, the deceased. So he's basically whatever you want, whatever you want to understand from it. They don't have children. Supposedly she's barren, and his name is deceased. And the way that it is presented with his magical birth, a man of God comes. Okay, when the husband is not there, and he comes in and he tells her, okay, you will conceive. And she goes to her husband and she says, and I quote, "A man of God came to me, and his appearance was like that of an angel of God, most awe-inspiring. I did not ask him where he came from, and he did not tell me his name, but he said to me, you shall conceive and bear a son." Like when he wasn't there. Okay. And this happens the second time. The second time he comes, he's in the field. Okay. So here, this is again a funny situation. Supposedly she's barren. Somebody comes. Long story short, now she's not barren anymore. She has a son, one conceived when the husband wasn't there. You want to think that it's a magical conception? Okay, the story doesn't say that. But also when at the end he asks for the angel's name, he tells him, I cannot tell you, my name is too wonderful. Hu Pil-i. That's ridiculous. That pokes fun as well. That you're not supposed to say the name. This is ridiculous. My name is wonderful, Pil-i. And we should say, you said about his hair. The first time he's prophesied, the angel of God says, you will not be able to cut his hair. The second time he says it, everybody can go and look. He omits it. He forgets it. This is a foreshadowing. Then he says it again. He forgets it again. He omits it. Just like all the other laws that I told your wife. Then it's just like, this, a gun, whatever, in the first scene will fire in the third scene. This is setting the stage. So this is just the beginning. Then later with the riddle, you want to tell the story with the riddle, Jonathan. This it cannot be a serious story. Like who can think that the riddle story is serious?
Yeah, I know that he stumbles upon an encampment of Philistines, something like that. He's probably chasing a woman, which he typically does. And he says, I have a riddle. You've got to solve it. They don't. And he goes berserk, something like that.
Yeah, so the riddle is silly. They're not supposed to know. He just encountered a body of a lion that had honey in it. Okay, are they supposed to know that this is the thing? Like this is the this is the answer to his riddle. The thing that I saw on the way. It's like in Lord of the Rings or whatever, the Bilbo riddle to Gollum about the ring in his finger. He's not supposed to know about it, right? So the thing is, they bet on 30 pieces of clothes. At the end, we're going to go, all of it is funny, but it's going to lose. And then what he does, he goes goes to a Philistine city, beats up 30 people, takes their clothes, and gives it to the other 30 people. So he didn't really lose, right? He took 30 shirts from 30 Philistines and he gave them to other 30 Philistines. But there is something with the days that must be a joke about messed up biblical timelines. Because the way it's told, they wait for 3 days, they do not find the answer. Then we get to the 7th day, Hashvi'i, translated as 4th day, as if it's Revi'i. But we jump from the 3rd to the 7th. She begs him, please, Samson, tell me, like his wife is Philistine. They're threatening her. They'll burn her and her father. So she's begging him, please tell me the answer. Doesn't give her the answer. And then she cries for the whole 7 days of the feast. We're already in the last 7 days. Like the 7th day. What's going on? Now we're back. Now she's crying from the beginning. And then, of course, he tells her the secret. She tells the secret. They solve it. And he has a great one-liner. If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have found out my riddle. You messed around. You cheated. And then he goes on, beats up 30 Philistines, gets their clothes, gives to the Philistines. Later, there's a crazy story about a jaw of a donkey. He beats people up with the jaw of a donkey. It's translated as a jawbone. I think it's just like his jaw. It's like a wet towel or something. Just like a beats up. Burns the fields with like elaborate ruses of tying 300 foxes together and lighting them on fire. Just like the weirdest stuff. But the real peak of comedy is the Samson and Delilah, whose structure I think is epic. The concept of the story, how it's told. She's told by Philistines, please find out how we can take away Samson's power so we can bind him and arrest him. Then she goes to Samson and asks him, please, Samson, tell me how one can take away your power so one could bind you and arrest you. So she just gives away the plan immediately. She just tells him, I want to find a way to arrest you. And he understands that. So he gives her like a make-believe reason, something really elaborate about the string and stuff. And then, of course, it doesn't work. So basically, he caught her red-handed. The Philistines are there. He caught her red-handed, giving him up to the Philistines. So obviously, the logical thing that to come now is he should tell her, what are you doing? I knew you were going to give me up. Like, he should be angry at her, obviously. But she's angry at him for giving her the wrong secret to take away his powers and bind him and arrest him. So, like, they're actually honest with each other and they're still going through it. He tells her another silly reason that makes no sense 3 times. The 3rd time, she puts something in his hair and he gets up. And he gets up and just like takes away all things whatever, to sew clothes and stuff like that. Completely ridiculous. And then it says, and it is mistranslated in English, it says, because she nagged him all of these days and he was tired of it and he wished to die, he told her the truth. So he just wanted to die. He said, okay, that's it. Woman. Oh, a nagging wife. This is a nagging wife joke. A nagging wife joke. It says, והיה כי הציקתהו כל הימים, ותקצר נפשו למות. It's translated as he was tired to death. Oh, vatiksa nafsho lamut. He wanted to die. This is the verse that I want to have on my grave. I want people to go and look at it and say, double take, and like, what? That's in the Bible? That she nagged him so much that he wanted to die? This is how this guy dies? I want to throw people from the grave. So, there's like this 1, 2, 3 movement in comedy. It becomes more exaggerated every time. It's always funny the same way. This is the part that I burst out laughing involuntarily, and it's just funny.
So he's like the original Henny Youngman saying, "Take my wife, please."
How are you all? I'm glad to be here. Take my wife, please.
Boom, boom. That's that. Also, he has such a bad judgment with women. Like the first, like in one of the episodes, he goes around, he sees a woman from afar. Okay, he goes back to his father and say, I want to marry her. She's Philistine. And they argue, he said, no, she's honest. This is why I like her. Ki yeshara be'enai. Okay, that's not why you like her. You saw her from afar. And this is the same woman that betrays him at the end. Okay, so she wasn't honest, right? So this is the very thing that she wasn't. So it's just like ridiculous. And it has this marriage humor that it makes me feel so warm and fuzzy inside that like the marriage jokes are the same. They stayed the same. It's unbelievable. They stayed the same. They still work 2,000 or so years later.
Yeah, there's also something about the Delilah story and, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you, or no, it's the other way around.
Fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Do you think it's important to find the humor in biblical stories?
It's important for me. If it's important, like if the Bible is important for you, then I think it should be important because this is what the text is. If the text is not funny, then it's not funny. If it's moving, if it's scary, if it's boring, whatever it is, it's what it is. So if this is important for you, I think this should be like great news. I don't know. It makes an easier connection, I think, with the Bible, with the people behind it. It doesn't feel like this antiquated, irrelevant thing. We have jokes. They still work. So we are the same people. People are people. We have something like continuous in our culture and our humanity. I love this.
Well, thanks so much, Gil, for joining us.
So thank you guys for having me. And I invite everybody to check out my podcast. It's called A Podcast of Biblical Proportions. You can find it on all the podcasting platforms. And what I do there, I go story by story by story, and I go look at the story, whatever it is. If it's funny or not funny, dramatic, whatever it is. But the episodes are funny because otherwise I would be bored with the Bible if I couldn't have fun with it.
And to our audience, now back to your regularly scheduled lives.
Amusing Jews is here to amuse you. If you like being amused, go ahead and click like and subscribe.